how much do you think you learned about this team, and how much do you think that took a physical toll on their bodies?
Oh, I think it took a physical toll, but we took Saturday off, which was good. And then we didn't go that long yesterday. I don't plan to go that long today. So I'm cognizant of that. But I think they learned a lot about each other. I think they learned a lot about their ability to defend collectively with defensive intensity and activity. I think offensively, we learned that we've got to keep putting pressure into the game constantly, run by putting pressure on the rim with our ability to drive and cut and get out in front of the defense and the ability to move the ball. So I thought in 3 games, we definitely learned a lot, but we also learned we've got to be a more physical team. We've got to be a better blockout team. We've got to be a more ready to shoot team. We've got to be able to go inside out even better. There's numerous things that you learn that you're doing okay with, that you got to get better with, or they go away quick. And then you also learn that there's a lot of things that you've got to improve upon. And I think that's where we're at.
Hey, Coach, good to see you today. I was asking Justin, I guess, about the 67 deflections you guys had the other night, and you were saying, hey, we should be able to get more than that. I kind of get your thoughts on that, being that this was the most you guys have had, I think you said, since you've been at Georgia, and just how that continues to play in y'all defensive activity you were talking about a second ago, and you're getting better in that regard.
Well, I learned a long time ago that the definition of a deflection is a barometer of active defense. And when you have active feet, hands, mouths, bodies, and everybody's moving and playing to their length, and they're aggressive on the ball and you're aggressive off the ball, well, then you've got a chance. And it's not about getting steals as much as it's about getting deflections. And I think for this team, what we do is we count a charge as 2, because that's taking 2 points away. So I have my own scoring system on the deflection game. But the bottom line is it's activity. It's showing your length. It's being aggressive. It's showing defensive activity. And for us to be successful, we have to have that, because obviously we're not real big and we don't have that skyscraper size inside that's going to wipe out shots and take advantage of the rim that way. So we've got to be able to do it many different ways. And I think one of the keys to this game, activity-wise, is going to be our ball pressure, because this team is really, really good at getting the ball inside and trying to play one-on-one basketball with Montana. So we've got to do an even better job of activity out front, bringing pressure to the game, showing that activity and length, and then being aggressive when it goes inside.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, next we're going to have Chip Towers and Zach Klein.
Coach, I just want to ask you, obviously we've talked to Justin a couple of times. He missed the last game, I think it was, the one before last. Was that a direct result of what happened over the summer? And clearly he's a guy that you must see as a leader, and obviously he's a starter and a very good player. Was that in response to what happened over the summer, and can you share your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was. It's a decision that you make with the brain trust of what we have here inside of athletics, and there's also you have a responsibility to the university, and so it's never just a one-person call on that. You work together, and that's what we deemed appropriate. There's consequences to actions. My hope is that he has learned and that he understood the significance of what happened, not by missing a game, but by what happened. And anytime that you have discipline and punishment, you want it to be a real learning process so that that's not repeated again. And I think that's the most important thing you can do, whether it's with your team, whatever it is. And that's exactly what we tried to do there. But he is, and answer the rest of your question, he has definitely got a very good personality, as you see. He has got a lot of energy. He's very aggressive. He's played a lot of good basketball. He's been well coached. He's been well raised. And we are very, very fortunate to have him. And I think he's going to continue to get better and better.
Thank you.
Sure.
Coach, the great Mike Mobley let us know about Severe's 3 straight double-double points, assists. Hasn't been done in the SEC, what he said, 2 decades plus. In your experience, why is this so rare? Is it just the culture we're in, guys wanting to score all the time and not dish out? How come we don't have kind of just a specialty guy like that in 2 decades plus?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't have an answer to that. I just look at him. I mean, certainly double doubles and triple doubles and things of that nature are really, really significant things. And the bottom line is you've got to be a very unselfish young man, somebody that can see, somebody that can pass, somebody that can also score and make plays, but you've got to have really good decision-making skills. And then obviously to get the assists, people have to put the ball in the basket. And when you're getting layups and you're getting cuts, which is what is going to be conducive to us having any type of success this season and having that cutting game be strong, it's good. And I think what it does is it becomes infectious. And I think the two things that are really significant, well, there's a lot of things that are really significant when Severe's on the floor, but two things: if you want the ball, you got to keep up with him on the break. And if you cut and you get open a little bit, he's going to find you. And I think those things create a lot of energy for your team.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, up next, we're going to do Ryan Curley and then Andy Walsh.
Hey, Coach, you said that some of the practices were going to be lighter the last couple of days just because of the wear and tear of having a lot of games in just a few days. What have you been focusing on and improving moving forward over the next few non-conference games?
Well, we're really locked into this one. We haven't started into Samford yet. That'll be a whole different deal once we get through Montana. But I think the bottom line right now is to continue to show ourselves up defensively. This is a really good post-up team. This is a team that really likes their sets. They like their actions. They've been on the road for 3 games. We'll be their 4th. So, and they've been in some really close games, especially the last 2 with Southern Utah. And so they're battle tested in that sense. They've got, they really move the ball well. They're unselfish. And what we've got to do is we've got to really be locked in defensively, because of all the teams that we will have seen to this point, they want to go inside the most. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to go inside the most of anybody we play, but in our first 4 games, this would appear to be the team that wants to go inside the most. So we've got to do a really good job there. On the other hand, we've got to continue to shore up our offense. We're always adding to what we're doing. We're looking for different opportunities for guys. We're looking to continue to build our cutting game, our drive and kick game, our catch and shoot game. And I think the biggest thing we've got to make the biggest jump on is how well we are physically and aggressively pursuing the ball and blocking out defensively, and not get away from the fact that for us to get easy baskets, we've got to be a really, really good offensive rebounding team as well. So those are some of the areas, along with all the other aspects, that we would have inside of a daily practice.
Hey, Coach. I think it's 56 turnovers through 3 games. I guess what's your assessment of the ball security, and is that just like careless passes and trying to do too much? What is it? And also,
I think it's trying to make plays that aren't quite there. I think it's trying to be unselfish. When you have a guy that passes the ball like Severe, everybody else wants to get in on that part of it too, which is not a bad thing, but you've got to recognize what's there. And I think we're going to run, so there's going to be some turnovers, but we can't have the careless ones. We can't have the trying to put the ball somewhere where it can't go. I think that's the most important thing. But turnovers, like everything else on your team, especially early on in the season, have got to be a work in progress. And at the same time, while you're learning to play with one another, and that's what we have here. We have a lot of guys that are learning to play with each other. And even though obviously we hadn't played in a long time, like everybody else hadn't, this is the first time when you're going against other people that these guys have been together against somebody other than themselves. And they didn't have last year or the year before, things like that to really fall back upon for the most part. So there's going to be some learning with that, but we'll continue to build on it and try to make the game as simple as it can possibly be for guys to deliver the ball in places where guys can do something with it.
All right, and the final question is going to be from Jed May.
Hey, Coach. I wanted to ask you about Justin Kier. Number one, what do you remember about just recruiting him? I know he was on here and he said the first time y'all met, you talked a lot about family history and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And secondly, I guess he was all over the stat sheet the other night. What, I guess, can his role be on this team as a guy that can score, that can pass, that can rebound, that, plays havoc on defense, all that kind of stuff? Well,
he could be a multi-dimensional, multi-threat, both ends of the court, high-level player. And I think that's what we saw. He's been well coached. I think he averaged 16 points a game in the Atlantic 10 his junior year. Obviously, he didn't play very much last year as a senior. That's why he was able to get the year back. But the bottom line is he's an aggressive young man, plays very hard, wants to be really successful, one of our hardest workers when it comes to extra time in the gym. And we're continuing to all get to know each other. And that's the bottom line. I never had talked to him, obviously, before the first time we talked on the phone. I remember it vividly. I was driving back from Florida to Georgia, and I was sold. There was no doubt about it. And then I dove even harder into the film and was even more sold. So it became really key, obviously, that we got older in the spring, and he was a springboard to that, because once we were able to land him, we felt really good about moving forward, of having a guard that had played high-level basketball and had some success, knew the game, knew the value of both ends. And after you talk to him on the phone, you realize the value and the character that he's been raised with, and with all the things that he's been through. And I think that, to me, is as much of why he's has been a success and will be a success here as anything. Certainly, we want to make him better and add to his game, but his character and his value is what I think are the defining characteristics of him.